because he never promised us jobs.
Over the years, Honorable Charles Rubia was very concerned about the society and where the society is leading to. And he talked very much to those people who could listen to him about patriotism. And he lamented that from what he was seeing, our sense of patriotism as Kenyans has gone very, very low. And this was a great disappointment to him. He talked about corruption, and he lamented a lot. Those people who used to see him in his house, there was no time they would meet him, and he does not talk about the corruption. How corruption has damaged this country. He was comparing the state of affairs now with the state of affairs in the 70s. And he was reminding us that at one time, I think in 1974, there was a famous case of corruption against one Shimechero, who was in the Ministry of Health. And for the whole year, the whole country was focusing on that case because he had stolen about 1 million shillings. 1 million shillings. Now, Rubia was telling us, now look at us now. It's 1 billion today, 2 billion the next day, 3 billion the next day, 4 billion the next day. And he even quoted the recent case where a clerk in the treasury who was earning 16,000 shillings per month was able to accumulate wealth of 600 million shillings. And these things troubled him. And that's why he said to his family, talk about these things. The things I would have talked about if I had a chance to speak to a crowd like this. And that's why I'm talking about it, on behalf of the family. So that if we can listen, those of us in leadership, at whatever capacity, if we really honor him, if we are saying he's a hero, why don't we try to be small heroes in our own way? Because even when he was the mayor of Nairobi, and many people talked about his life as a mayor, one thing he would not stand was corruption. And some of the mayors will talk here afterwards, and they'll tell you he was very averse to corruption. And Honorable Rubia also said about leadership that leaders must be proactive. Leaders must not be complainers. If there's a problem, the leaders must not just complain. They must come up with a solution. They must come up with the policies. They must come up with the laws to correct that problem. Let us not become a nation of complainers. That is what Honorable Rubia was saying, and that is what the family has also asked me to pass to this congregation here.
What I would say, there is nobody knows the Rubias more than me. This is because when Mzee Kamau Kiroga was working in the farm, there was no good schools for his children. He talked to my father. My dad was a priest in charge of the then Maragua Parish. Now they call it Murang'a South or something like that. Maragua Parish is where my father was working, from Chania River to Maragua River, from the border with Wakamba and the mountain. We used to call them Abadayas, now we call them these Himalayas mountains. All the churches here were being run by some priests, who happened to be one of them was my dad, Gachanja. And Kamau said, what do I do? There is no good school here. So my father took children of Kamau with him to our family in Kahuya Mission. I was sleeping in one bed with Hannah Rubia, pulling each other. We went to Kahuya Girls. I was a bit older than she is. And then after that, when we finished in Kahuya, Carrie Francis then, he can get somebody to tell him, he won't have more than 3 girls at Alliance Boys. I was to go there, he said he can't have too many women there. So luckily, there was a lady called Miriam Jenish. You can see I'm not reading, I'm talking what I know. Miriam, an educationist woman from, I think, Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe or Zambia or something like that. When he came, he found there was no good school for high school for girls. She established a college called Government African Teachers College. I was there with some other ladies, with Mrs. Rubia, some ladies from Western Kenya. I see our Mheshimiwa here, Malwa, you know, Priscilla Boa or Uzuha, we were all there. Then afterward, we were sent to teach at the same school, Kahuya. Again, we were given, Hannah was given this house and me this as teachers. She was teaching at practicing school. I was teaching at the teachers' college. We said, how can we be sitting like this? We left one room, we continued sharing one room, and her one other room, we made it a kitchen and a sitting room. Who would know Hannah Rubia than me? And then when this Rubia came up from all these places, he comes there to look for his wife. There were many, many girls there. And when he came, he fell in love with Hannah. She was a very, very beautiful girl. She's a mixture of Gikuyu and Mukamba. Her mother was a Kamba. She was a beautiful, and don't know why we used to have all these long hairs. Girls these days, I think you use too much chemicals, it doesn't look good. Then, next time, Rubia is chasing Hannah sitting with me. Then he decided to marry her. Who is taking Hannah to Rubia? It's me. If you look at the pictures, she didn't know anybody. And I was there. If you look at her wedding picture, you won't know me, I was young. But you can see one tall girl with the long hair, is me. So there was a time before independence. The white community, Muzungus, started to get worried about these upcoming Africans. And they said, went to Kiambu and say, chop one area of Kiambu, and we push these Akina Rubia, Akina, all these getting educated, and trying to be this and this, put them in Kangemi, Lilota, help them to get home there. They are starting to come to Westlands and Lavington and all these. They are interfering, push them there. One of them was Rubia. He took 4 plots and built a house. And they said, come, you can take a plot here. I took 2 next to them. You see? So, Rubia, anywhere, he thought, I was like a second, like a sister to him. If there is any problem, he shared with me. If you touch me, I go to share with him. And I would say, Nairobi was Nairobi when we were very big, Nairobi with exhibition, outside City Hall. On Saturday, we go there to dance at night. There was a restaurant there where you can eat, the lawyers, everybody. Schools were good, healthy centers, social centers, immunization, healthy children were being given injection at these schools during Rubia. If I write Rubia, you may have to write a book. To me, from Muranga, I feel lost. Not long ago, I went to bury Matiba. I have buried Michuki. I have buried Keano. I don't know what is left. But I hope, as I sit here, I see Mwangi, our governor there, I see our senator there, I see Gambi Gitula, Peter Kenneth. We are throwing a ball to you. Nairobi was known for business for Africans. Rubia was the first to establish one of the biggest distribution shops. Or now you call it Haile Selassie, we used to call it White Aways. A big distribution shop. They have all these things. During his time, they used to develop homes. Dandora, Umoja, and some of the Buruburu, they sell to people. Bring whatever you have, then you have a home. What happened? Call us before we sleep, because we can sleep anytime, but let us follow that. Perhaps I don't know much, Rubia, on or in politics. I know more as a person, as a loving parent and wife, and as a person of growing up. And Rubia is tough, was very tough man. I hear a song somebody sings who says, I am unbuggable, I am unbuggable. I say, that's like Rubia. You can't shake him. He was too tough for everybody. Let us pray that he sleeps in peace.
Knowing Wuka, he wouldn't want us to focus on him. He wouldn't want us to focus on the sadness of his death, but instead focus on the blessings that God gave him so many years on this earth. Many more years than Psalms 90 verse 10 talks about. He wouldn't want us to focus on the happiness in our lives. He would want us to appreciate each other and focus on our future. He would want us to stay united and be proud of the man that he was, talking about his feats to our children and our children's children. We will miss going to the house and finding him seated in his favorite seat, having his cup of tea accompanied always by a sandwich, with the telly on tuned to gospel music. But we have so many wonderful memories to hang on to, and that is what we should and ought to do. Today is a celebration of a great man, not mourning of a fallen hero, and that is what we would want everyone here present to acknowledge. A man known as Henry James said, sorrow comes in great waves, but it rolls over us, and though it may almost smother us, it passes and we remain. We mustn't allow sorrow to smother us, because we are sure Wuka wouldn't have wanted that. He would have wanted for us to remain in the hope that we shall meet him up one day in the land beyond the sky. From the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1, and it says, and I read from the Good News Translation, everything that happens in this world happens at the time God chooses. He chose to take Wuka when he did, and ours is to accept it with thanksgiving. Each one of us grandchildren will continue to treasure Wuka's memory, to carry him in our hearts. In all things we give thanks. May God be glorified and God bless you all.
My grandfather was an extremely exposed man. He was an intellect. He was selfless and he was kind. And honestly, we were just in awe every time that he spoke. He was an educator, not just to ourselves, but to all those that had the pleasure and the honor of being around him. Guka always said that his grandchildren kept him young at heart, and with that he used to show us off to all his friends, and we were really proud of that, and he was extremely proud of us. And for that, those are memories that we do cherish and we will cherish for the rest of our lives. Guka can tell you, we will continue to make you proud. We will always remember him for his infectious laugh. He was an admirer of dogs, an advocate for equality, a lover of music, and most importantly, a patriot for our beautiful Kenya. One thing I'm most certain of from the bottom of my heart is that he's gone to a much better place, one deserving of a soul as precious as his. Guka, you were my role model, and I would do anything to sing with you one more time or just to hear you laugh. We thank you for all the beautiful memories and lessons that you left in our hearts, which we will cherish forever. Your guidance and unequivocal love will console us through to the end of our days. We will always miss you, and we love you, Guka.
He was a great leader who was caring, generous, and a family man. For us, our fondest moments with Guka was during Christmas, where we'd usually spend a couple of nights over in the evening, and he will tell us stories that we remember till today. The way he carried himself was an inspiration, and the lifestyle that he lived, we always wanted to aspire to be like him. I know when we live today, we'll always remember to cherish the memories and never forget the love, happiness, and laughter he brought to us. To Guka, we love you. You're truly special. You may have passed away right now, but your memories will always live within us. Thank you for the sacrifices that you made for our family and our country. Your care, your concern, your love, and everything that you've done for us, we will forever be grateful. Rest in peace, Guka.
Last September, we spent the whole afternoon looking at your memorabilia, photos, keys to all the cities that you've been honored, and I learned so much from your past. But my favorite was making pinky promises with you that we would spend more time together. But it was not to be. Because heaven has called you, God always takes the best. Though you have left us, my love for you will remain alive, and I will carry you in my heart. The memories are shining brightly, and your legacy will survive in the things you taught me and the love you showed me. I will miss your gentle humor. I will miss the warmth you always extended to me. I will treasure your memory forever until we meet again.
He adopted many responsibilities of the homestead from an early age. And at a time when girls were rarely being educated, my brother encouraged me to go to school. My brother Wanyoike married Hannah Mudhoni Kamau, a great woman, a woman that even last weekend he lamented missing. Together they guided the extended family with compassion, love, and generosity. And this generosity was not just in terms of money. He genuinely cared for his extended family. The late Hannah Rubia was a teacher, and she and my brother deeply understood the importance of education. Wanyoike went as far as personally chauffeuring me to school to ensure that I stayed on course. Driving long distances to deliver children to their education continued into the next generation. In 1971, when my husband, dancing karaoke, was unwell, Wanyoike and his son Robert drove me and my daughter Jerry all the way to Highland School in Eldoret. My brother willingly stepped in to help, and in 1976, after my husband passed away, he continued to encourage me to educate all my children. Wanyoike never abandoned the homestead, even after his parents passed away, nearing almost 100 years of age. He did not just see this as his duty, but it brought him much pride. I urge that Wanyoike's children continue to cherish this togetherness and familial support fostered by their father, well beyond this moment when we have all gathered here to lay him to rest. I thank God for the many years that he gave Wanyoike here on earth. I will miss the occasional visits that he paid me from time to time, and I thank his children and family for having shared him, not only with me as his sister, but with the people of our country and as a symbol for the fight for freedom around the world. My home is always open for you because you always made space in your own home for me and my family. Rest in peace, my brother, your sister, Paris Wanjiru Karaoke.
Rubia, as we knew him as his friends, he believed very strongly on promotions of people. People promotion, not necessarily in employment, but giving them more value than he found them with. We knew him as one person who had three things that he would die for, or rather he would pay for any price. That is peace. He really liked peace. No wonder that he died peacefully, because he believed in peace. That means he wanted this country to be as peaceful as it would be. He strongly believed in justice. And that's why during his political career, he occasionally fell into trouble, because when he witnessed injustice being practiced, he would always stand up and question why injustice was being practiced. He believed strongly on equality, equity. As the mayor of Nairobi, he believed that all races and all communities staying in that great city would enjoy the same opportunities like anybody else, and also needed comforts wherever they lived. Occasionally, when we talked to him as friends, he would be very bitter when he discovered, or rather when he noticed, that people are not offering solutions to what they consider to be the problem affecting our country. He thought, as leaders, they should be the ones looking for solutions, and even going to the people that they lead to advise them on how to resolve the problems that they were experiencing. He was a patriot. In fact, when he came to the school where I was, and you should not want to very much question me about the school, it's just like Chanjiro High School. It was then a very prestigious school. Because when he came, he made us believe that Chanjiro was better than Alliance where he had gone to. No wonder, Your Excellency, you are CS for infrastructure is a student of that great school. And so is the founding chairman of Equity Bank. So it is a great school.
As the Member of Parliament for this constituency, on my own behalf and on behalf of Kandara constituents, many of them who are here, this being Getora constituency, sublocation ya hapa Kabati na Getora, one of the wards in my constituency, we have 6 wards. We are obviously very sad for this moment, although we celebrate 96 years is not a mean achievement. Charles Rubia was a great man. He was fearless. He was smart. He was almost a perfectionist. A lot of accolades. And with all that, Your Excellency, he was fairly a humble person. In these humble beginnings of this constituency, there lies a great man. The things he stood for: strong, spoke the truth, fearless, courageous person, spoke when many would not speak, Your Excellency, as he has been eulogized. Bildad Kagia lies just 3 minutes walk from here. This is Bildad Kagia Road. So his home is just 2 minutes walk. So Lily, as Kandara constituency, and I've seen the 4th Mayor of Nairobi, Nathan Kahara, comes from here, Kariua. Definitely, we have a lot that as a constituency we have contributed to in this country. The saddest part is that these two great, especially these two great men, Rubia and Kagia, have suffered because of bad governance, because of a regime that was intent on silencing people. And because many things have been said, I've gone through also his the family's the eulogy, and that record will not be achieved by many. Having been a member of parliament, achieved to the level of a minister, Your Excellency, I think the things he did and stood for are some of the things that we are enjoying today. They fought for democracy, the Bill of Rights that is so progressive that I think many countries, even within Africa, would have to spend maybe 50 years to achieve what we achieved was through hard work.
Your Excellency, this hero, I came to know him when I was a very small boy. When I was in class 5, that is in 1990, that is when he started to agitate for multi-party democracy. And I used to listen to him over the BBC because KBC would not air about Rubia. And the day I was given the instructions to start to act for him, I said, God, thank you. You have given me the opportunity to greet a very good hero of Murang'a. And Your Excellency, I have been representing him in court. Let me say that my interaction with him in court has shown me something. You have done your work in terms of recognizing him, giving him various commendations. You can see he was an elder of the Golden Heart. He was also an elder of the Burning Spear. I have seen Murang'a University has also given him a commendation. I have also seen the County Assembly recognize him. But there is one institution that has failed Rubia. Allow me to say it, the judiciary of the Republic of Kenya. And the reason is, I filed this case way back in the year 2012, Your Excellency. I have been going to court faithfully. I have been, in fact, when you look at the program, you will see the last page. I'm with him immediately, we are from the court. And one thing I realized is that we need reforms in the judiciary. Look here, Your Excellency. You have fought against corruption in the county governments. You have fought against corruption with members of parliament. We have seen members of your own cabinet going to face corruption charges before courts of law. But every time you take action against a judge, he goes to court and he gets a court order, he is free. Is that fair? How can Rubia file a case way back in 2012, and now, 8 years, that case is still pending in court? Is that fair? I may be talking about Rubia because he is here and was a famous person. What about the poor women, the poor children who are going to court and they are not getting justice? If at all they can do that to Rubia, failing to have his case to be heard on a matter of urgency, what about the so many millions of Kenyans? And by the way, let me tell you, I have heard one member of parliament proposing that maybe we can create a fund, we immediately give you powers to give out money. But according to law, it is only a judge who can do assessment of damages. It is only a judge who can say, okay, you suffer this kind of injuries, you are going to get this kind of money. So therefore, for me, the injustice has been visited by judiciary, and Your Excellency, please take action. Please, I will support your effort to clean up judiciary to ensure Kenyans get justice in court.
As Kenyans, we are very easy to forget. We forget things very fast. I mean, what we are praising today is likely to be exactly what some of us, or what we are condemning. Charles fought for constitutional change. He was fighting for change. Charles was also fighting for people engagement, involvement of Kenyans in governance. And he fought together with his compatriots, and they suffered. Today, it's opposite. We had a regime which we had to fight, and that was then. I'm not criticizing anyone, but we had to fight for change. We now have a regime which is initiating change. Because the president, out of no push, he has put in front of Kenyans some constitutional proposals. That is through his own personal initiative. It had to take detention, torture, and a lot of fights, even street fights, for change to be initiated in this country. Then when we have a regime whereby the government can, on its own energy, its own move, initiate change and tell Kenyans, engage and let us put together what is best for this country. You still hear mamas. So, kwani tunatakanga nini? Shida iko wapi? Tunataka kupigana so that change can come, or would rather have change through an able leadership which is saying, well, let's have a discourse. Let's agree, and then let the people decide. And I'm not talking BBI, but I'm also talking BBI, my friends, because that's a constitutional proposal that the government has put to the people. And they have again said, we still have no say, let the people of Kenya engage so that all those small and many things which we have been talking about, including even recognition of healers, all those things which are not light, we put them light without fighting and without detaining anyone. So, Your Excellency, you know, these things will keep happening. You continue. People are being detained for change to happen. We are now being offered change and an opportunity to discuss out of government's free will. So I think as Kenyans, we need to really get serious so that we discuss, agendas which are rigorous and value-adding in nature. I think we need to get serious because we get too small at times, and then you wonder what kind of a nation are we going to bequeath to our children, surely. So my request is the best legacy, the best thing that we can immortalize Charles and others with is to make sure that we keep engaging, bringing change without necessarily having to resort to detentions and street fights.
Murang'a is a county of giants. And amongst the giants of Murang'a, Rubia towers very tall. In fact, the only other giant from Murang'a that they stand together with on the same pedestal is Kenneth Jindo Matiba. But there are so many giants from this county. I can say that probably Siaya compares very well, but we'll have to take an audit to know who has produced more giants. But allow me, Your Excellency, to say this, and I was motivated to say this from what the bishop was saying, and even earlier speakers were saying, about patriotism. And patriotism is one of the foundational principles of our republic. Patriotism. And patriotism does not mean just love for country. It means loving your fellow citizens, loving thy neighbor. And Your Excellency, we are going through a very critical period in this country. And if we were to remember Rubia for what he stood for and what legacy has left us, we should take stock of what we can do in this nation to make it a nation of patriots. You know, the people in this country actually, in their very big way, but in a small ways because we don't see it, are patriotic. Over the Christmas period, I had a little party in my village, and we were presenting a member of the county assembly known as Oscar Omondi, elected in Kiambu. You know, people could not believe that you could have an MCA popularly elected in Kiambu. And those who were there in the days of Fodesili, there used to be a councillor in Murang'a called Mr. Wino, who was a very powerful person in Murang'a. If you wanted a seat in Murang'a, probably you ended up in the house of Mr. Wino. And we used to come here and see him. So, Your Excellency, I would want to plead to Kenyans. We can talk politics, we can talk constitution. Countries have made experiments. At the times of Julius Caesar, they had what was called a consulate. They could not trust one person with power. You had to have a consulate. That didn't seem to work. Uganda has been through so many experiments. So, Your Excellency, what you have come up with for the Kenyan people to talk, please let us talk.
Na ningependa niseme, leo hii hatupigani kama hawa ati kutafuta uhuru, lakini tunataka kupambana na yale maovu ambaye yako mbele yetu, ambaye inatukumba, ambaye inatuzuia kama nchi kwenda mbele. Utengamano na ukabila, ukosefu wa umoja kati ya watu na viongozi, ufisadi ambao umekuwa mwingi. Mambo haya ndiyo sisi tungependa kushirikiana na Wakenya tupambane naye, kwa sababu tukipambana na haya, yes, tutabadilisha maisha ya Wakenya. Mheshimiwa, na mimi usiseme na kuingilia, sikuingilii, lakini umesema ya kwamba hawa wazee wamepigania uhuru, na mimi nataka kusimama hapa mbele yenu niwaambie, huo uhuru walipigania kwa second liberation tunausimamia kikamilifu. Na hakuna mtu ambaye amezuiwa kusema yale anataka kusema, atembee barabara, apige duru zake, aseme. Lakini ombi langu kwa hawa ambao wanatafuta hii uhuru na ambao wako naye, jameni, tumieni huo uhuru kueneza amani na umoja kati ya Wakenya. Tumieni huo uhuru kueneza na kupambana na vita kati ya ufisadi. Tumieni huo uhuru kutafuta justice. Then we can say that that is the legacy that we are fighting for, that was left for by these great old men who we are saying kwa heri tu. Lakini kama kelele ni perere tu na hakuna kitu ambaye inalete, well, hiyo pia ni uhuru. Hiyo pia ni it's freedom, and it is guaranteed. Tunaweza kuendelea, lakini hiyo haitapambana na umaskini. Hiyo haitajenga hospitali. Hiyo haitajenga barabara. Haitajenga shule. Haitapatia vijana hawa wetu kazi. Haitarudisha kahawa yetu. Haitarudisha majani chai yetu. Yale ambaye ataturudisha ni kutumia huo uhuru, that freedom, to articulate issues that can make life better for ordinary citizens. Nimesikia hata viongozi wakisema, unajua, tunataka tusaidie serikali, serikali tutafanya, mtatufanyia nini? Wakati ya hawa wazee, na najua niko na mashahidi hapa kati ya hawa wazee, wakati Murang'a County Council ilikuweko chini ya uongozi wa wazee kama hawa, Murang'a County Council kila mwaka ilikuwa inatoa pesa, kwa sababu walikuwa na pesa zaidi ya matumizi yao ambazo walikuwa wana invest na serikali ya kitaifa kule Nairobi. Sijui kama mnaelewa hiyo. Zilienda wapi? Hatupendi kujiuliza hii maswali. Pesa hiyo ilienda wapi? Kwa mifuko ya watu binafsi. Kwa mifuko ya watu binafsi. Na ndipo nasema, kama just 10% ya viongozi wetu tungekuwa tunaamuka na kulala na hizo fikiria za patriotism, za kupenda nchi yako na za kujitolea kufanyia taifa letu la Kenya kazi, hii nchi ingekuwa nchi nyingine. Mimi ningependa kwanza kuchukua fursa hii kwa niaba yangu, kwa niaba ya familia yangu na pia kwa niaba ya Wakenya wote kutuma rambirambi zetu kwa jamii yote ya marehemu baba wetu Mzee Charles Rubia ambaye alituacha hivi majuzi. Tuko hapa na nakubaliana vile baba askofu amesema, kumuomboleza ndio, lakini pia kumsherehekea na kumshukuru Mungu kwa miaka hiyo yote ameweza kumpatia, miaka ambaye ameitumia kujenga taifa hili letu la Kenya, kusaidia wananchi wa jamhuri hii yetu ya Kenya bila kujifikiria mwenyewe. Akatolea maisha yake karibu yote kwa kuitumikia taifa na wananchi wa jamhuri ya Kenya. Twamshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu kwa maisha yake, na tuko hapa tukimuaga, tukikumbuka yale yote ambaye ametenda kwa taifa letu kwa muda huo ambaye Mwenyezi Mungu amempatia. Mimi sitaki kuongeza kwa sababu mengi yamesemwa, na sana sana tumesikia kutoka wazee wetu na pia kupitia yale ambaye baba askofu mwenyewe ametueleza, na mimi sitaki kuyarudia, lakini nataka kukumbusha tu yale ambaye tumeambiwa, ambaye ndio alikuwa mwelekeo ama vision ya mzee ambaye amelala. Mzee alipenda ya kwanza amani, alafu he loved justice and good social order, and he also loved hard work. If only half of us as Kenyans, not even half, 10%, emulated what this old man stood for, Kenya would be a totally different country.